Tech.AD 2018 here in Detroit. My name is Maria and I'm standing here with Kelly Natel. Hello and thank you for taking this time.
It's my pleasure.
Can you briefly introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. I work for the National Safety Council, which is a nonprofit out of Chicago, whose mission is really to eliminate preventable death in our lifetime. And I manage all of our communications and advocacy work.
Thank you for that. What fascinates you about autonomous driving?
Autonomous driving, self-driving cars are a game changer when it comes to safety. In the United States, we lose more than 40,000 people every year on our roadways, and self-driving cars is really going to make a difference in driving down those fatalities. That's what excites us the most.
What should be done to achieve that? On the safety side, because we talked a lot about, the perception, the AI that goes into that, but safety-wise, what should be there? What should we achieve?
I think there's a couple of things. As the technology is developing and evolving, certainly the safe testing and the transparent testing is critical when we talk about getting consumers to accept and be willing to drive in these cars. So we can have the greatest self-driving fleet, but if the average consumer won't get into it, we won't realize any safety benefits. So I think the testing has to be rigorous, but it also has to be transparent so that people have faith and really believe that these vehicles will perform the way that they're told they'll perform.
And how do you get this transparency?
Well, I think that's part of the reason we come to these kinds of conferences, because we want to make sure that those issues like data sharing and really paying attention to the safety of the vehicles is at the forefront of everyone's minds. You know, we've got some of the greatest technical minds working in this space here at this conference, and so from the National Safety Council's perspective, if we can be the organization that really continues to drive home the importance of that, then we feel like these are really worthwhile events to be at.
Then thank you for making cars of the future safer. And what specific technical challenges are there right now? Because right now you hear a lot about the accidents from self-driving cars, or that they just stop in the middle of the road because they think there is a stone or a cat or something like this. So what should be done on the technical side?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not a technical expert. I leave that to those folks, the engineers who are really working in this space. But, you know, we do know that the vehicles are not ready for prime time. The technology is not ready for prime time, but it's getting there, and that's what's really exciting. So we have to continue to rigorously test those vehicles, let them have real-world experiences, and understand that there are going to be failures. We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, though. You know, when there is a failure, as an industry, we have to learn from that failure so that everybody can experience the safety benefit. You know, the phrase that a rising tide lifts all ships. That's how we should be approaching these issues, that with data sharing and really sharing the challenges and the successes with each other, that will help everyone get there faster.
We're sharing right now, we're not sharing the successes, but more or less the accidents and the failures. So what can we do in changing that? Talk about more like the successes, or how can we do that so that consumer also see the positive side? Yeah,
I think that consumers have to start to be brought on the journey with the industry. You know, we've been working at this for a lot of years, but for the public, they're only seeing it from the outside, and you're right, they only hear about the failures. And so a public education campaign that is both aspirational and inspirational is really important, but it does something more. It really helps to level set for consumers too. There's so much confusion right now about what technology is currently available, how it works, what their responsibility is when they're in the driver's seat with those various technologies. So consumer education is absolutely critical, and it's time to start now.
So instead of getting a driver's license, we will more or less have like how to handle your autonomous car in the future.
Yeah, that's a big question, right? Is what is the licensing going to look like? And then how are we training those who are going to be driving in the car? What do they need to know about the vehicle and the system? What if there's a failure? You know, all of those things are very much in play still. There's a lot of work to be done.
Okay, so we don't have it, but it will go in this direction more or less. So not like the traditional driver's license, so you have to brake like this, you have to give gas like this. It's more like, what should you do if this failure comes or this light blinks and stuff?
Right, those are the questions that are still out there, and I don't think anyone has all the answers yet. So there are a lot of things that are still to be determined on the policy side.
So what role will the driver have more or less? We talked about like he can sit there and relax, but what is really his role instead of passive?
I think it's really going to depend on the level of automation that you're riding in. So, certainly anything up to a level 3, the driver is still expected to be an attentive driver and ready to take over. When you start to get into highly automated 4s and 5s, well, then that role significantly changes. So educating consumers about what their responsibilities are going to be pivotal to making sure that the safety benefit is reaped.
And do we have because you said, okay, it's like automated level 3, 4, 5, will these be still there in the future so that I have, for example, as a driver can say, okay, I want to be responsible for myself, but I only get the level 3, and this is, of course, I need this license or this safety education, and for somebody who doesn't like to drive at all, or can't because, I don't know, he's old, or he's or she is disabled because she can't move her arms or her legs or something like this. So I don't think we know the answers to those questions yet. I think that for the foreseeable future, the roads will have both vehicles that are being driven manually, vehicles that have automation, and then highly automated vehicles, and there'll be a mixture. And that presents a whole nother set of challenges, in terms of how they interact with each other. But I think that the industry is now recognizing that while the technology is developing and we're moving really in a great direction there are so many of those other implications that we have to start considering. So will there be the traditional automotive companies like Ford and Toyota and so on, or will there be just a whole changing landscape? And then it's not like we talk about cars, but we talk about mobility.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know that we know the answer yet. And I think it comes down to, again, what will the policies look like in the future? Is there going to be a day where self-driving cars are required and there's no manual driving cars? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think those are all things we have to grapple with as a society, certainly as a country here, but as a global society.
And so, in general, what is your wish for autonomous driving?
Oh, my wish for autonomous driving is that the technology continues to ripen, that we do the right thing about bringing the consumers on that journey with us so that we prepare them so that they can interact appropriately with the technology, but ultimately that it's deployed widely and that we start to see those 40,000 fatalities in the United States driven down. That is an absolute vision for us at the National Safety Council.
Thank you. And the last question, how do you like the conference so far?
I think the conference is great. I love the way that it's set up. The different sessions are really interesting. The speakers are terrific. This is my 4th, and I enjoyed every one of them.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the 4th.
Thank you. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.